in which farmers were contracted to raise wheat and oats and brought
And now we just need to figure out how to get, there we go. Okay, great. We can start there. It felt very much like coming home today. You can see from the picture of Sterling from the air, it looks a lot like the Olney school. You just change the paint color a little bit and keep all the words the same, and it feels just like Sterling College. So it's lovely to be here. Even the interior paint color is the same, so I feel right at home. I want to talk a little bit about our evolution through these labors of love to starting as a prep school and moving now to a full all-year, four-year work college. Just one quick disclaimer here before I get to one of the key points, and that is I've always been uncomfortable with this dean of work notion that sounds like it's some kind of threatening position. I always said it was the second worst title in the world, only next to Lord High Executioner. Now I have a new worry, though. Just the other day I saw a definition of a monetary economist being someone who knows everything there is to know about money, but has never seen any of it. I worry about deans of work being people who know everything there is to know about work, but have never done any of it. So I hope I can give some sense of how we do things at Sterling. Item number one that I want to bring to you is directed to the students, because the students drive what we have tried to do at Sterling over the years. If you can, oh, sorry, that's right. Yep, sorry. Yep, there we go. Right from the start, when we were prep school back in the 60s, we always listened to students who, since long before the 1950s and 60s, the 18s, back 2,000 years ago, want to do cool stuff, get credit for it, and learn even more than they would otherwise. That's been a driving factor for us, and we've had to often stop and say, let's listen to the students and see what they say. Because we tend to go to the formality of, well, we have a formal mission and a philosophy. We're going to combine structured academics, and I can do this somewhat more graphically here. Structured academics with experiential challenges and plain hard work. That if we combine those three things with the students, then putting them under the support of a caring community, and that's one thing I really feel at home with here, is that sense of community, that this will deliver a product that will be of value to not only our students, but also to the world in general. And that's all well and good as long as you keep listening to students, and that's what we've tried to do as we have evolved through very neatly here. Every decade, virtually, we would evolve into some kind of new form, whether it be a one-year bridge program that had academic credit to it, tied to a two-year program, a technical institution, then four-year liberal arts college. Then when I came in the late 90s, we became formally a work college, so that the plain hard work piece was incorporated into academics. And now our current manifestation is to be an all-year college, so that we can also grow more of our own food during the summer, have our farm much more active, and add some new components to the school, which would be local small-scale sustainable farming and agriculture. So that's one thing. Listen to the students. We have three kind of things that also guide us from a faculty staff standpoint. One is our tradition of a New England family farm. There again, it looks very similar to what you do here. Like I say, we often call it now small-scale sustainable farming, but a better name is hard-scrabble farming. It's that how do you put together 14 different things into making a living. And it's wonderful to hear you talking about local foods and that sort of thing, because that's exactly where we hope to be going as well. We combine these three models then, the family farm being one of them, where students do all the chores, as it appears they do here, but also have then in addition a job that they do, the JOB as we call it. Another pillar in what we have tried to do is John Dewey's philosophy of experiential learning, that is putting the experience first and then the thinking afterwards, which is the opposite of the way it often is in school. First you have to do the thinking, then you get to go and have the experience. We like to have that experience first. And then we've also incorporated a lot of Kurt Hahn's ideas about the Outward Bound program, where you have expeditionary learning as the students going out on expeditions as a way of doing their learning. And those three things, whether it be farming, whether it be learning by doing, whether it be expeditionary learning, each one of them start with that direct experience at the beginning, or the heart of the matter. And then the key thing is that, and I'll talk in a second about a couple of pitfalls. One is that you just have direct experiences and don't do any of the observation and the reflection piece. And that's the really critical element, I think, is to take the time to think about what you're doing, because as John Dewey says, education is thinking about experience. So it's that you have to have that experience first, but then do the reflection to think about it, and that's where the education transpires. It's not preparation for life, even though we called ourselves a prep school just like you do, but it's life that we live right now, because we always are in the time that we live and not some other time. And that can be dealing with modern issues like sustainability, like energy issues, which is just a critical piece. And maybe on the panel we'll talk more about that sort of thing. Just a couple of quick things, because this leads to my first pitfall. Some of the outward bound model pieces that group an individual challenge by choice, the outward bound model to seek, to strive, and not to yield, a line from Tennyson, I believe, and service of the community are three pillars we try to incorporate in what we do. But that starts to lead to pitfalls. One is ignoring limits, that you seek to strive and not to yield, and you just never yield. You just keep going, and before you know it, you're extended over your limits. And I'm speaking somewhat metaphorically here, too, in terms of changing. So a possible alternative might be to seek to strive and to know when to yield, that there are times when you have to say, this is enough, we're going to turn around. We don't have to go up to that summit. We can go back to our base camp, or we can go back to a planning stage and do that. Another risk that really does crop up when you start doing experiential education is the whole risk issue, and not only risk in terms of physical danger, but also emotional danger. As Dewey says, experience arouses emotion, and that means that people get involved, they get invested, and people can get hurt that way emotionally. So not only is it a physical hurt that we have to be careful from. This is from a trip that I did to Iceland this summer, where all of a sudden I realized I've got kids right out on the edge of a cliff that I had not anticipated. And so just as soon as you start doing it, you better be thinking ahead and be prepared for how to react. Don't ignore the real world, and I admire your commitment to diversity and to both gender and international racial diversity. We've got to keep doing that, because if we don't work together, as someone said earlier, then we're not going to go far. Don't forget also that education is both that thinking and the experience piece, that take the time to talk and reflect and to plan ahead then to the next step. Lastly, be careful, though, that you have some idea where you're going, that you don't follow that old adage of if you don't know where you're going, all roads will get you there, that you might end up in a situation like this, trying to build something in the wrong place or the wrong situation. This was actually an exhibit in a art park in Sweden where they were looking at climate issues and representative of what we're facing here. Just remember, though, a school is not these buildings that are painted either yellow or brown or whatever they are. It's you, it's people, and as one of our recent presidents said, education is about how we treat each other. And that's the piece that I'd like to leave you with, to come back to the students. So no matter what you're doing in terms of academic study, majors, you're working together. It's how you're treating each other, how you are in the canoe together, how you're interacting with your teachers, how you're interacting with your peers. And out of that, then, we would hope that you could find your unique experience. You know, we've pointed to some of these things as possibilities for our evolution and to make us change and keep up with the world. And I encourage you to keep your eye on that experience. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to Leslie.